Hi everyone, welcome to my next art tutorial. So still trying to keep it really accessible for you to do at home. You haven't got to buy lots of equipment at this stage. And we're looking at water soluble pens today. Now these are some of my favourites I found. So all you really need to do this is water, a pen. You don't have to have all these, just one pen will do. A paintbrush and some paper. How will you know if your pen's water soluble? Simple, add water. If it bleeds, it's water soluble. Usually they have waterproof on the side if they aren't, because people normally don't want their pens to splatter. Also a lot of the children's makes, I believe, like crayon, whatever they are called, because they're washable, that means they're water soluble. So you want any pen that's going to bleed. If you're not sure, put a bit of mark on a bit of paper, add some water and you'll find out. Now all these pens give a very different colour. They're all black. Only ever work with black. I've tried them with colours. I have got, with this one I have got some different shades of blacks and greys, which are quite interesting. But for today, I'm going to show you everything with this one. So let me show you just of all how they make the different marks. Let me grab a piece of cartridge paper. Oh, and the paper makes a difference as well. But I'll show you that in a second. I'll show you everything at the beginning, can I? Right, so there we go. So if you haven't seen water soluble pen before, here's my Bevel pen. Make a little mark. They take a few minutes to dry, so I have made one earlier. So you can probably see at the moment there's lots of lovely shades of grey. It's blending in quite well. As that dries, that will get some different purples and pinks. Again, depending on the paper. I will talk to you about that. So now these nice brush pens, well, they're brush at one end and a little nib at the other. My lovely friend Linda Moore got me these. She's got me a whole set of those. They're great. I don't know how much expensive they are. These ones you can buy a box of 12 online for about £6. They aren't too bad. So these give out a nice colour. So we just use a brush pen just to show you. I don't know if you can see the colour on there already dry, but I've done one in a minute. So this one's got some very deep purples coming out. So that's my brush pen. And then we've got, this is a fine liner, but it's still water soluble. You won't really see that well. But this is quite good, so if you let them somewhat dry and working over it, you do get splatters. This is not a neat precision type of artwork. This is quite a loose artwork. Do you see that one's not going to blend in so much, but it still will work. I'll show you the one that's dried in a second. Now these two chunky, excuse my paintbrush. Now this, I have no idea what this is. I found this in my pen cupboard. I thought I'd have a go with it. Make a mark, and look at this. This is really random. Look, black pen. Look at that. Sort of, I don't know, browny, purpley, reddy colour. All out of black pen. So you can already see a nice variety of colours. But all the artwork I'm going to show you today is all going to be done with the one pen, so you don't have to have a variety. These are just ones I happen to have. So this is an old, it's Bevel as well, an old Bevel marker. Can you see the different colours you can get out of just a black pen? So that's what you want. A black pen that will add water to will fade. They do dry quite a different colour. So these are the same pens in the same order. As you can see, how close up you can see that. The one I'm going to show you today, oops, sorry about that on my camera. That's my favourite one, the Bevel one. And as you can probably see, you've got lots of different blues and pinks and that coming out of there. But a nice range of colours, all out of black. Okay, so the paper. As I said, the paper makes a difference as well. So these are all these samples are done with my Bevel one. Let me move this because that will confuse you. It will confuse me anyway. Oh, there we go. So this is a piece of print paper. I don't know if you can see very well. Light's a bit dodgy today. It hasn't bled that great. It has got some fantastic colour. Depends what you want. But hasn't bled that well. And also with this, if you did a lot, the paper's just going to warp because printer paper's not made for it. But you know, it has got some interesting colours. This is all, as all my artwork is, that's about experimenting. So this is a piece of cartridge. This one's dried. Hasn't bled totally, but has got some nice colours. This is quite a shiny cartridge paper. And then the next cartridge paper is a lot rougher texture. I'm going to show you some work on this one today, and as you can see, the colours have come out. Yes, again, I keep saying it, but I'm amazed sometimes how much colour you can get out of one black pen, but you can't guarantee the colours. This is why this is so experimental, and I love it. And if you want to go that extra thing and you've got some watercolour paper, it doesn't have to be expensive. As you can see, you've almost lost my circle and you've got a variety of colours. You can control this a little bit. Let me show you how. Right, so I'm going to do everything today just using this one pen. Like I said, it's a Beryl fine liner, just a black one. So we're just going to do, like I've done on here, I'm just going to show you some leaf shapes and how you can control the water. So let's just start with a basic leaf. Remember, they take a few minutes to dry, so as I work on each one, keep an eye on the previous one. Let me grab my... So when I take the water off, I do dab some of the water. So this one, just fill it in, pick up the ink from the edges, and if you want to, you can work in the direction of the leaf. So this is giving you a quite even colour just for filling in. So you can just block in the leaf, as simple as that. But it will, as I said, the colour will vary, so it won't end up just that grey. Okay. So it's a really, really simple, hope you can see that. Lift it up a bit closer to you. There we go. It's just a filled in leaf. Okay, I've gone in a bit closer now so you can see. So I'll do the next one. So we're going to roughly do the same shape each time, doesn't matter too much. So this time I'm just going to drip the water and let it sort of do its own thing. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do this. I'm just going to show you some, you know, again, it's just that experimenting and finding what you want. So, wipe my brush off a bit. Then let it pull the water in rather than picking up the colour. So that's giving you a little bit more of a texture, almost like a feather-like. Oh, can you see this one's now starting to go more pinks and purples? Right, so let me draw another one while that one's drying. Because you can work back over this. Once the ink's set, you can work back over it and build it up and up and up. It hasn't got to stay that way. So if I want to add tone, make sure this side's nice and dark. Should we bring my water in a bit more? You can put it over there and you can see what I'm doing. So this side will go in a lot lighter. Just drag some of that colour, not too much. And then go in darker again on this side. Oh, can you see that spreading in? So trying to keep the dark just to the one side. And what you can do, if you think there's too much light on that side, as with any sort of painting, I call this drawing, I suppose it's almost painting, isn't it? You can dab. There you go, lift some of your water off. And then this one's quite pinky now, isn't it? Because it's drying off compared to the original grey, because I'm lifting some of the water off straight away. You have to be patient with this if you're doing one thing, but obviously if you're doing a big drawing, you move around the drawing. Let's just get a bit more in there. Really, I should wait for this to dry, but I just want to show you. See, it's building that up, taking that ink off the edge and into the leaf. I think we'll come back to that one that's dry a little bit more. You can see in this one is definitely a dark and light. This one's the same all over. This one's patchy and this one's dark and light if you're looking at tone. What you can do if you want that light to be even more so is, oh, my leaf's looking less leaf shape every time. Let's just move that over a bit so you can see better. So we'll bring this one in, so you've got all your ink. And then, so I'm just dabbing my brush, you can literally fill this one in without even having a line there. You're going even lighter than you are on the other ones. You can make an imaginary. Keep it over that side, Wendy. That's it. So you can control it, even though it's quite a loose method, but you can control them. Yeah, you see that? So go back to moving water. So go back to the first one again now. Oh, nearly had my water over. Now we could add some lines in. Just get a slightly smaller brush. Still blending them in, so still got that softness. Adding a bit more dark. Do you see, as they're all drying, they're all changing colour. The other one to do is quite nice if you want the leaf to stand out, is we'll do I can do one going this way. Is this time to put the colour behind it. So pull the colour away from the item. And you can tone that out, but the more water you add, pulling it away till it almost disappears into your paper. So that's quite a nice effect. And obviously you can put more dark one side, again when it's dry. You do have to keep leaving these things to dry. We'll just do the stem down the middle, just to give it a bit of body. And just drag some of that colour up. There we go. So don't worry, I'll show you some more close-up ones in a minute. Let's put some lines on the side of this one. So now I'm just fiddling. You see now I've got the blue going over the pink. If I want to make this side a darker, so it doesn't take too long for them to dry. Let's pull that in there. So not too much water every time. Dab your brush, unless you're going for your big background. That's adding, getting a little bit more life to that. You see this one's bled around the sides now. It's just, you know, this isn't exact, this stuff. I quite like it for that. And let's put a bit more at the back of this one. I might show you these again in a little while when they've dried up, so you can see how they work. You have to go with it a bit like that when they're bled, so I just built it in. It's quite nice, isn't it? I quite like that. A little bit of colour in, a little bit of colour out. There you go. Anyway, that's your starting point, practicing. So these were a few leaves that I'd done earlier, and these are on the cartridge papers. These are a little bit clearer because they've dried now. So that's simply a fill-in effect, the first one. And then my dabbing, adding tone, that's worked really nice on there. As you can see, the pinks and the blacks. This one I've gone behind, dropped some water, can you see the sort of cloud effect? And done some dabbing in some leaf, all from this one same pen. That's using ink as a paint, so this was dabbing the ink off this one and actually doing this almost without any lines. And the last one is where I've worked into it. So that's the same as I was just doing, just these ones have dried up. Another good way of practicing to start with is, can you remember my doodles from the first one? Let's just draw around this cup. It's all just practice techniques before we start on doing some pictures. Now, this is on the watercolour paper. As you can see, it works quicker on the watercolour paper, but I use cartridge mostly. So put that in. keep adding the water, washing off your brush, just wash it off, dab it, bring it in. Can you see the colour disappearing? I'll show you a full, this is from people who watched one of my original YouTubes, or if you want to go back and have a look at those. Don't forget, if you enjoy my YouTube channels, please subscribe to them and like, that would help me a lot. You can share them as well if you want. Oh, can you see the colour changing on that already? It's quite subtle. Let that dry off and then I'll you see that happening? While that's happening, we'll do a smaller one next to it, just to show you how dark in you can get. It's not a very good circle, is it, Wendy? You need to practice your circle drawing. Never mind. So this one, look how dark that can go. But you can get it as dark and as light as you like and pick it up. And you can use the ink off the brush, look. Right, see if I can pick some of that up and put it inside there, just so you can see. But this is really good practice of controlling. If you want to control, you might not want to. You might just want to go for it. I'm going to do a sketch in a minute of a church, if I can link it to this video. And I did that really quick, and there's hardly any control. It's just going with it. You see all the lovely colours coming out of that. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up. Hi, so this is one of my doodles. You can see all the different colours have bled quite nicely in here. I like this effect. It might not be perfect, but I like all the different colours. And then I've gone in darker in some of the places. So something like this, before you try and do something real, might be a good way of practicing with the tone. You see I've got the tone here, the dark and the light. So it's just a really nice way of playing around with these colours and getting some interesting creative effects. Hi, so before we go, I'm just going to show you some finished pieces. So this is just a selection of insects and of bugs. I just want to show you this one, because I want to show you the difference between, obviously, like we were showing you with the dark and the lights and all the lovely pinks through till it's fine one. Some of these are really light and delicate, and you can see there which just bled. I've put a little bit of shadow in. So you can have a certain amount of control at the same time as also letting the ink do what it likes. So that's an insect one, but it don't always have to be insects, even though I am a bit of a bug lady. So this is another one I've completed of sunflowers, as you can see. A very loose, light drawing. I turned this one into one of my cards that I sell, into a card design. Again, I'll bring it in a little bit closer. You can see on here I've gone really dark in the background. Then I've added some fine liner over the top to get the hint. So close up, it's quite textured, but the whole thing, oh, we got out of focus there. There we go. The whole thing is a rather pleasant sunflower. And the other ones, you don't always have to be just full. There we go. It's a full garden there. The exotic gardens in Norwich I used to love to go to. So taking photographs of that. I'll just bring you that in a bit. You can see this has got lots of detail. So here I've had to let it dry, go back over it, let it dry. I think I've let it dry overnight a couple of times and carried on working into it to get all these different little textures and marks. So it has quite a lot to look at. You see it's quite rough, but with detail. It's a real mixture that. It just gives a really nice overall. You feel the depth of the garden. So there's colour. You say, well, how did that happen? So what I've done with these ones is the same water-soluble pen. Let me just hold that one up closer. And then when I've let it dry, I've added just a little bit of watercolour, not a lot, just a hint. You do have to be careful because the black will still bleed in. So if you want like the bright red, obviously start with the red inside and work outwards. But I don't mind a little bit of bleeding. So that's a little bug of some sort. And then quite trendy at the moment is the old bumblebee. I don't know if you can see in this light, let me tip it. My husband got me some nice metallic watercolours for my birthday. So this was black and white, and then I've just added a metallic gold, just little hints of it, and done a bit of splatter and just to give it that extra something. It looked quite nice before that, doesn't necessarily need it, but there you go. A couple of little bits of colour. And the last one I'm going to show you before I go, and then hopefully it'll link on a quick time lapse of me making one of these drawings, is this big bug, as you can see from the side of my hand. Once again, if you're going to work this big, maybe take the edges down, but it's not too bad because there's a lot of water around it, and this one is watercolour paper. Let me just pull that up a bit closer. You can see I've tinted, but I've purposely let all the watercolour bleed in and just do its natural things. It's quite a nice effect. One giant colour bug. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. Just watch the time lapse now. If you have, as I said, please like or share it, and I'll see you again soon. And don't forget in the comments if there's anything you'd like me to show you. Always happy to help. Wendy M. Hall, artist. Thank you.